Incoming message.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are strapping on our detective hats and stepping right into the role of forensic historians to investigate a literal, earth-shattering mystery. We're looking at the absolute largest volcanic eruption of the last 4,000 years. We're talking about a single afternoon that completely, permanently reshaped the ancient Mediterranean world. Get ready, because what we're about to uncover connects geology, archaeology, and the true origins of some of the most famous stories ever told. So how exactly did one single afternoon around 1600 BC destroy 5 entire civilizations and birth 2 of history's greatest myths? Well, our puzzle begins with an environmental disaster of truly terrifying scale. A volcano erupted on the island of Thera, which you probably know as modern-day Santorini. But listen, this wasn't just your standard run-of-the-mill eruption. This was a catastrophic detonation. It echoed literally 3,000 miles away. The fallout triggered the simultaneous collapse of 5 massive empires, and, as we're going to see in the evidence, it likely seeded the true stories behind the lost city of Atlantis and the plagues of Egypt. To really wrap our heads around the sheer magnitude of this blast, Thera exploded with a force 40 times greater than the infamous eruption of Krakatoa. 40 times! That immense kinetic energy instantly ejected 60 cubic kilometers of material straight up into the atmosphere. The immediate aftermath? Imagine a towering 150-foot tsunami radiating outward at the speed of a commercial jet aircraft. It crashed into the shores of Egypt, Crete, Greece, and Turkey within just hours. With absolutely zero warning systems back then, the human toll was, well, total devastation. Now, the true violence of this kill mechanism really lies in what happened next: a caldera collapse. The Thera was originally this beautiful, perfectly circular island. But as its underground magma chamber emptied out with unthinkable speed, the island entirely lost its structural support. The center literally caved in on itself and just plummeted into the sea. This sudden, violent collapse is exactly what displaced those unimaginable volumes of seawater, weaponizing the ocean into that mega tsunami and instantly burying the surrounding region in 800-degree pyroclastic flows. Just imagine standing in the Minoan trade hub of Akrotiri right before the blast. This place was an ancient marvel. We're talking about a highly sophisticated society with multi-story architecture, vibrant frescoes, and even indoor plumbing. Their trade network totally dominated the Mediterranean. And then, in a flash, it was just gone, entirely entombed in suffocating ash and roaring pyroclastic flows. This incredible, vibrant center of pre-classical civilization was instantly and violently wiped completely off the map. But the disaster absolutely did not end with the explosion itself. No. It triggered this massive chronological domino effect. As an immense ash cloud darkened the eastern Mediterranean skies for months on end, solar radiation just plummeted. And what does that mean? It means sudden, drastic atmospheric cooling, which caused widespread, catastrophic agricultural failure. So within a single century, 5 major Bronze Age superpowers fell into terminal decline. Minoan palaces burned to the ground. The Mycenaean and Hittite empires totally collapsed. Egypt suffered these devastating internal disruptions, and the great Syrian trading city of Ugarit abruptly abandoned forever. To truly grasp the human terror of this cascading collapse, we really only need to look at this chilling, unsent clay tablet. It was found sitting in an unfinished kiln in Ugarit. The king wrote a desperate plea to the king of Cyprus, saying, "My father, now the ships of the enemy have come. 7 enemy ships have come and done very evil things. Now I am finished." It is a terrifying first-person snapshot of sheer coastal panic. The environmental and societal collapse was so absolute and so rapid that he literally ran out of time before the letter could even be fired in the kiln. Just incredible. Okay, let's open File 1, the Atlantis file, where we cross-examine Plato's famous myth. Now, for centuries, Plato's account of Atlantis from 360 BC has basically been dismissed as, philosophical fiction. But what happens when we treat his writings as an ancient eyewitness account and map them directly against the physical remnants of Thera? Well, the evidence lines up almost perfectly. Plato describes a powerful circular island civilization with a central volcanic mountain completely dominating Mediterranean trade. That is an exact, literal description of the Minoans on Thera. Plato says it sank in a single day and night following a massive disaster. And as we just saw, Thera's center violently collapsed right into the sea. So, the inescapable conclusion drawn by forensic archaeologists today is simply this: Atlantis didn't sink into the Atlantic Ocean. It exploded in the Aegean. Now sure, Plato's timeline of 9,000 years appears super exaggerated, but experts actually suggest this was just a simple translation error by Egyptian priests who were converting lunar months into solar years. When you look at the geographical, structural, and civilizational match between Thera and Atlantis, it's honestly the strongest forensic candidate in all of archaeology. The myth is simply the distorted memory of a very real, horrific event. Moving on to File 2, the Exodus file. Let's look at the environmental data coming from the Egyptian coastline. Think about this. What happens if we treat the biblical 10 plagues not as isolated events, but as surviving eyewitness environmental data from folks living on the Egyptian coast? Peer-reviewed medical and geological research directly connects specific volcanic fallout effects with almost every single symptom. Rivers of blood? Well, massive volcanic ash triggers toxic red algae blooms. Plagues 2 through 4? That contaminated water drives mass amphibian land displacement and exploding insect populations. Next up, lethal volcanic fluoride coats the grass, killing livestock and causing boils. And this is all followed by immense volcanic lightning storms, massive locust swarms driven by sudden crop failures, and finally, a volcanic winter that literally blotted out the sun, causing months of terrifying darkness. And then we get to the infamous final plague, the death of the firstborn. Here, we can actually trace a chilling, step-by-step forensic kill mechanism. First, the eruption injected extremely dense, toxic volcanic gases high into the atmosphere. As these heavy gases drifted across the Mediterranean, they began to settle at ground level overnight. Now, in ancient Egyptian homes, the eldest and most vulnerable often slept in the lowest, ground floor beds. As those concentrated toxins settled silently into these low spaces in the dark, they systematically asphyxiated those sleeping there. It's a horrific but completely geologically documented reality. Our final piece of corroborating testimony comes from a surviving secular Egyptian document known as the Apur Papyrus. It acts as our smoking gun, explicitly describing the catastrophic environmental and social collapse happening during this exact period. It literally mentions rivers running red, widespread crop failure, persistent darkness, and rampant death. It perfectly synchronizes with both the Exodus account and modern volcanic data. It acts as a closed case file confirming the devastating environmental chaos that rippled all the way from the Aegean out across the Mediterranean trade routes. So, one single eruption, 5 entire civilizations destroyed, and the undeniable origin of 2 of humanity's most enduring stories. Does the geological reality of the Thera catastrophe finally solve the ancient mysteries of Atlantis and the Exodus plagues? Well, the peer-reviewed science certainly points to yes. If you enjoyed this investigation, please make sure to subscribe. In our next explainer, we'll be diving deep into what the buried city of Akrotiri actually contained and why its most important artifacts might still be hidden right there in the ash. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Come to me, chickens! Cock-a-doodle-doo!